Today I wanted to talk about an Australian natural horror film directed by Daniel Trocchi. He actually wrote and directed the film that we will be discussing today, and this is actually the second film that he has directed. Today we're going to be talking about 2010's The Reef. This film was distributed by Lightning Entertainment. This film does focus on a group of 5 friends traveling to Indonesia. So we have Luke, the person who organized the trip. He also invited his friend Matt and his girlfriend Susie. Coming along is Luke's ex-girlfriend Kate, who also happens to be Matt's sister. So that definitely makes sense why she is coming along, but I guess to some degree it does make somewhat of an odd or tension type pairing there. The 5th group member is Warren, and he's basically just the guy steering the ship. We really don't see him too much. So along the trip, the yacht eventually capsizes after hitting a reef and sustaining damage to the keel, which is basically one of the main supporting structures of the hull, and the yacht pretty much capsizes. Luke does manage to convince some of the group members that it would be safer to get off of the yacht and swim over to a nearby island. He estimates that it would be about a 3-hour swim. Eventually, the majority of the group does tag along, with the exception of Warren, who does stay behind. The film does work with a great sense of tension early on. One of my favorite scenes actually involves a turtle shell, which is, a very seemingly harmless thing, everyday object, but it's floating in the middle of the ocean. They're paddling along on their bodyboards, which they're using for flotation devices, and it's a very interestingly created scene. The music definitely does help immensely, but the fact that they're in this wide open area, but the fact that it's the ocean, so to a degree they are isolated, even though it's a broad daylight scene, which stereotypically for a horror film, daylight scenes are not really the type of atmosphere that you would go for, but this works extremely well. It was a very well-directed scene, which does pick up in tension as the shell comes closer. It doesn't look quite normal, but it also has this strong sense of curiosity about it. Why is this shell just randomly floating? So Matt does swim up to the shell, investigates it, and this scene also creates a great sense of foreshadowing for the character who does swim up and discover that the turtle's body has been mutilated. At another point within the film, the shark, which has been following or stalking them, finally makes its presence known. It begins circling the group, I guess just trying to figure out if they are a source of food that it may take an interest in. At one point, the shark does come in close and nudges Kate and knocks her bodyboard away. So it's definitely a very tense scene, especially the fact that the shark literally came so close. It looks like it pretty much just came right at her shoulder and nudged her. I think this film was very well directed. It creates tension extremely well. You can definitely tell the director is an excellent storyteller, knows exactly what he was doing when piecing these scenes together as well as writing them. And it is, to some degree, loosely based on an actual event which occurred in 1987. I don't want to go into too much detail with the film because I think it really is a great film, but the fact that they're just out in the ocean, I really don't want to give away too much about the film. I'd definitely like to leave it open for you to take an interest whether or not you want to watch and discover this film for yourself. But the film was shot on location in Australia. Some of the Queensland's locations shot for the film were in Hervey Bay, Fraser Island, and Bowen Bay. To my understanding, real sharks were used in the film. I'm honestly not too sure if they used trained sharks for the up and close shots or if they just used stock footage. And I do believe that the shark scenes were shot in Port Lincoln in South Australia. The film did receive a direct-to-video release in the UK, and to my understanding they were quite hesitant to have the film advertised as based on tour events because they did not want the tourist industry to be affected. But that is pretty much all I have for you guys today. I kept it brief because I didn't want to give too much of the story away. I definitely want to create some interest for those of you who may have heard of the film or haven't seen it yet. But I would definitely love to share some thoughts with those of you who have seen the film. But that is pretty much all I have for today, and I will talk to you later.